Um, so basically, as I've said, I think what we're trying to do differently from any other event is a multi-stage, much like the bike tour type of thing. To me, one of the big changes of that is that over 4 days, you're learning about yourself and the conditions, depending on how much or how little you're trained, you're ready, you're adapting. You have to think of fueling and feeding, the night before, the morning, during, after, continuously. But another amazing thing too that happens is you will begin to find your pod. Depending, we have anywhere from 120 to 170 or 180 swimmers. And there will be one or two or three people that swim almost exactly your speed over the course of 4 days and 7 swims because it's broken up, that you will find your pod and help each other. And that's a big part of it. As I said, the reason we chose 33.3 was the English Channel. And last year, we had celebrating the 150th anniversary of when Captain Webb first did the channel. And we didn't know it at the time, but we found out that his great granddaughter was in our event, was swimming. Here is the 100th anniversary of Gertrude Ederle, who was the first woman to cross the channel. So the event that I think you guys have picked that you want to do that Katie did is our last one of the season, which is Montenegro. A little aside here, we are starting on March 1 in a couple of days, our virtual event. There's no cost. And the idea is to swim 33.3 kilometers, but over 33 days. So starting March 1 to April 2nd, I believe. And you can sign up using Strava or using OpenSwim. And you can swim 1 kilometer a day for 30 days. You can swim 30 kilometers in one day, break it up however much you like, as long as you log your swims either in Strava or OpenSwim. And we have tons of cool prizes to give out. So it's actually an official Strava event. Uh, our event has a really wide range of people. Um, Average age is 50, and the balance of male and female is actually 51% usually female and about 49% male, which is very unusual because any Ironman or even swim run or bike races, they're generally 65, 70, 80% male. The youngest swimmer ever was 14. Currently, our oldest swimmer was 74, but that record is made to be broken soon, I hope.
I hope.
And then I would say we have four types of swimmers. We have swimmers who maybe they swam a lot in age group, high school, college, maybe stopped for 10 or 20 or 30 years, but they have a technique that can come back and they want to get back into it. We have some swimmers that in the UK they call themselves wild swimmers, and they may not have the best technique, they may not have trained, but they love to swim, whether it's in the river or in Brighton Beach in the winter, when the water's 40 degrees. And then we have a good number of swimmers that are triathletes that want something a bit more, maybe less painful for the body. And then we always have 10 or 15 swimmers that are just really good swimmers. They're technically good. They've been swimming a lot and they want to win. And they're very inspiring to watch. A lot of clubs that join, like Katie and LA Tri Club. There were those. Yeah, in our event, because you're swimming for 4 days and we're all going back to the hotel, and your day ends by 10, 10:30, 11 in the morning, maybe on the marathon day, which is day three, it could end at 11:30. And then we always have what we call a refuel lunch where we end the swimming and then back to the hotel. And the hotel in Montenegro is very, very nice. It's got an amazing breakfast. It's got an amazing spa, jacuzzis and everything to come back to the hotel, eat, rest, relax, meet people that you made friends with. Here, trust me, everybody will meet a lot of people, which is a big part of it. The option to swim half of our event, um, We call it the build. It's half. It isn't exactly half, but depending on where you get out, but roughly you're swimming about half the distance every day. And usually the last day, which is the shortest day, you'll swim the full distance, which is about five. So for those people who are maybe newer to swimming or for whatever reason, we do have that option. I would say 80% of our swimmers, 90% of our swimmers do the whole event. But that's an option for everybody. Iconic locations. I mean, one of the big things about our events is that we try and find places that are just beautiful to look at, especially from the water, and then also in your downtime in the afternoon. I happen to think the most iconic things that you will see are in Montenegro, especially that submarine tunnel. We have quite a lot of support and backup. As I said, we have about four swimmers per kayak, one swimmer per one kayaker per four swimmers. And everybody, you probably saw in the video, we give you a swim buoy. In Europe, they call it a tow float, but it's a swim buoy. And inside of that, we have a tracker, and all of our kayaks and our support boats have an iPad, and you can see all the tracker numbers. You can also give that link to your friends and family, and they can see your tracker number moving along. If a tracker that is allocated to a swimmer is ever more than 50 yards away, 50 meters away from a tracker allocated to a boat, that tracker beeps and we know. So if one of you decide to swim to Italy, which would take you about 4 or 5 days, maybe, um, we'll eventually know where you're heading and we'll go get you. That's the tracking. You can see how it looks if you were to give the tracker link to friend or family. You can see their name, where they're from, their flag. So it's fun. It kind of makes it so there's a community of people that are following you along. And they've developed this tracking system for ocean sailing boats. So it's quite reliable. We have two categories. We have swim skins, rather, no wetsuit, and we have wetsuit. I would say Montenegro, for most Europeans, the water is kind of warm. The water was 23, 24, and I've converted to centigrade. Close to half of our swimmers don't wear a wetsuit in Montenegro, but half do. So we have each category. And we now have one age group category, which is, I believe, over 60. And then everybody who finishes gets the finisher droplet. And you may see on the caps that if swimmers have droplets, they've been there one, two, three, four, 5 times already. This is kind of hard to see. I know we don't have to look at it too closely, but our minimum suggested cutoff time for you to be able to swim comfortably is 2 kilometers in 1 hour. That would be 20, add 10%, so 2,200 yards in an hour. If there are adverse conditions, if we're going rounding a corner and there's a current, we'll take that into account. The vast majority of people finish on time. Most swimmers, I think that the heaviest concentration of swimmers are going to be about 2,700, 800 yards per hour to about 30, 32, that range. Our fastest swimmers are doing 5,000 an hour. So the format, as I said, is 33.3 kilometers, broken into 4 days, but day one and day two are also broken into two swims. So typically on day one, we do about a 3 or 4K swim, and then we have a really nice breakfast break. And if you're faster, you'll have longer for breakfast. If you're a little bit slower, you have a little bit less time. But then we all start together and we do another 3 or 4K swim. So it's a broken 8 kilometers, more or less. Day two is the day we circled the island. So you're doing a longer swim, about 7K, and then another couple, 2 or 3K after lunch, to add up to about nine. Our third day, which is currently always on the Sunday, day three, is our marathon day. So you'll be swimming at least 10, and it could be as much as 10, 10 and a half, up to maybe 11. That's the marathon day. We offer you the opportunity to not touch the feed boat. We have two feed boats and wear a different colored cap, and we can put you into the Marathon Swim Federation long swim database. Last day on Monday is much shorter. It's about a 5K swim. And normally what we do at the end is we then go a couple hundred yards off of the finish line where we have celebration and champagne, but we offer all of your, if you have a spouse, a husband, a wife, a friend, a child, or whatever going with you, if they want, they can jump in and swim the last couple of 100 meters to the end. So the last day is a lot easier. By the time you get to day four, the last day, swimming 5K, which is what, not even 3 miles, seems pretty easy. Swim distance per day, which can vary a bit depending on weather, but that's pretty much what it is. Usually at 6 o'clock, we have a full briefing. We see a little wrap up of the day, but then we have a briefing about the following day. On most of our packages, we have three packages: the Ultra, which is everything included, but not transfers and not massage. And then we have our Ultra Plus, where you get a massage after you swim every day. And then we have an Ultra Plus Plus category for people who want uh, coaching ahead of time and more massages and extra things. But the massage in most people end up doing the Ultra Plus and getting the massage. It's a 25-minute massage within 1 to 2 hours after your swim is pretty good. Partners, one of the things that we like to do is I've not done an Ironman, but I know that the spouse of an Ironman triathlete is saying, not again, right? You're going off, you're getting up every day. So we make the partners really feel welcome. We have a boat for them. They can have a later breakfast, go out, see some of the swimming. They can have lunch with their partners. So it's our F3 program that's available. If you have somebody who's coming, they can book the F3 program. It's a lot of fun. We call it F3. There's the F3 party boat. We call it F3 for family, friends, and fans. This I don't have to go over too much, but you'll see it. It's on our website. Just so I want to talk a little bit specifically about Montenegro, but then still keep some time for questions as well. So Montenegro, many people hadn't really heard about it before. The airport most people would fly into would be Dubrovnik, which is an hour away. There is an airport in Montenegro close to it called Tivat. Doesn't matter where you come into, there are generally a lot more flights going into Dubrovnik. And then we pick you up, and it's not even an hour from Dubrovnik to our hotel. And that region, if you haven't been there, is great to arrive early or stay on later. Dubrovnik is amazing. It's very popular. Game of Thrones was filmed there. Montenegro is beautiful. So our travel people can also give you ideas if you want to stay on for a couple days or a week. And there's lots to do around there. Yeah, you can see from Dubrovnik it's a short hop down to Montenegro. And culturally, they're very much the same. The difference between Montenegrin language and Croatian language is probably like Scottish and American. It's more of an accent thing. It's called Montenegro, which I'm sure you know means Black Mountain, Montenegro. And Croatia, which is next door, is much flatter. As you get to the ocean in Croatia, it's flatter. Montenegro has these massive mountains coming down into these massive fjords. So it's very dramatic. And we swim half the time in the fjords and half the time on the Adriatic. The Adriatic tends to be a bit warmer water. The fjords are a bit chillier because you have all the rainwater coming down and seeping into it, and there's not much waves to move it around, so you have that colder, fresher water. And then once you go out into the Adriatic, it's much warmer. It can also be wavier there, but that part of the world, the Adriatic, is never going. You can't surf. There's not big waves unless there's a storm. And that's very typical of what it would look like. Obviously, when you're swimming there, you can't see that beautiful spread of swimmers. We do have these big navigation cubes and pyramids. You'll learn, a cube is the end, the pyramid is go around, and the circle I forget. But we have all those along the way. So if for some reason there was no kayakers and nobody else, you could navigate yourself to the end. Amazing kayak team. They work all year doing kayaking trips in the ocean and the rivers. And they're a huge part of our event is the kayaks. They have water, they have gels. They're not meant as your personal refueling station, but they love to help and they're always there. The submarine tunnel. That's the circling that Katie was talking about around this the Alcatraz of Montenegro, which is now a five-star hotel.
It was.
That's the finish in Montenegro, and all of our starts and all of our finishes are in the water. So there's absolutely no running, walking component. You can walk to your hotel room, um, but the entire swim is in the water, which is harder to do because it's harder to get um, the tracking and the timing through an arch that's in the water. But we feel that this is a swimming event. We don't want you to have to run or walk through the arch. The finish in Montenegro is amazing because there's this long concrete walkway that you can sit on, and everybody hangs around. You know, the first swimmers are going to finish the marathon swim in 2.5 hours, and the slower swimmers in 3.5, 4.5, 5 hours. We have music at the end. People stay. Andy Donaldson, who's one of our ambassadors and broke the Ocean 7 record. He did all the Ocean 7 swims in less than a year. He's jumping back in and swimming with people. So it's a lot of fun the last day. This is a little bit of a map. Don't worry, you don't have to learn it too carefully, but you can see the top part of the map. The top left corner where the blue line begins is our hotel. And then we swim that blue line, then the red line. And then when we cross that channel there is when we all get together after breakfast. And then we swim the bottom lines, the yellow, orange, and the purple are when you're swimming in the Adriatic. That's the hotel. That's the finish for the warm-up swim, which is the day before. We do a 20-minute, 30-minute warm-up swim on the day before the event. It's a nice hotel.